Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Barnstable this morning. I'm Sarah Coleman here with Len Gobeil, and you've got a big box in front of you, Lenny.
And I want to show you the contents of this box and explain what it is. And it deals with a veteran of the town of Barnstable who was killed in World War II. And the veteran's name is Orin Keyes. And in 1947, the town of Barnstable dedicated a beach to Keyes. And so it's called, obviously, Keyes Beach. You and I decided some time ago, about 2 years ago.
I think it was 2 years ago now.
Yeah, to pay tribute to all the veterans in the town of Barnstable. And we went out and simply with Sarah Beal, our producer here this morning, and we went out and we shot some photographs of all of the memorial stones that all are around the town of Barnstable. And so we have, the first thing we want to start with is the memorial stone for Orin Keyes Beach. This was taken at Keyes Beach, and this is what the dedication finally looks like.
Great, so let's learn a little about him. Yeah.
Orin Femin Keyes was born in 1921 in Barnstable. He attended Barnstable High School and graduated with the class of 1938. His yearbook write-up notes that he is the amiable embodiment of energy, and that has often been the cause of his antics in the classroom. But still more has been expended on the track, where he performed brilliantly. Orin Keyes starred in track in his 4 years, played basketball in his junior and senior years, and played football in his senior year. He enlisted in the Army 3 years before the start of World War II and reached the rank of Private First Class. Orin Keyes was a member of B Company, 1st Battalion, 502nd Parachute Infantry Regiment. The exact location of his death is unclear, but there is a plaque in the city of St. Odenrode which notes that 11 paratroopers of B Company gave their lives in the liberation and defense of this city in Belgium on September 21st, 1944. Orin Keyes of Hyannis was one of these paratroopers. He was awarded the Purple Heart and is buried in Plot 10, Row J, Grave 21 at the American War Cemetery in Margraten, Netherlands. In 1946, the beach known as C Street Beach was renamed Orin Keyes Beach by a vote at town meeting.
Beautiful spot, Keyes Beach.
That's really nice. And that's Diane James, a former high school teacher who was very involved in doing things for the town of Barnstable as well. And that was her voice.
Indeed. So a couple of weeks ago, a gentleman came to town hall and he had something for you.
Are you Lenny? Yep. You have any interest in history? I said, yep. And he said, I want to give this to you. This is a typical story of somebody going into your grandmother's house and saying, I'm going to go upstairs in the attic and clean the attic. And he found this box right here in Hyannis, okay? And so he said, I want to give this to you. And this is all about Orin Keyes. And that's why we had that clip about Keyes Beach. This is Orin Keyes' diploma from Barnstable High School.
Now, what year is this from, Lenny? This is from
Orin
June 15th, 1938, just to give our viewers a little bit of a perspective as to how old this is. And you know how your mom keeps stuff or your grandmother keeps stuff? This is like the box that Orin Keyes' grandmother kept of all of his keepsakes.
This is the Orin Keyes yearbook from 1938. This was in the box that John Marchant, by the way, is his name, and John Marchant is the grandnephew of Orin Keyes. So we have a photograph here of Orin Keyes, and just as you and I did many years ago, I don't know if you can take that really closely, but we have the signatures of his fellow students in this yearbook. So we have the yearbook, and that was donated to us. And here we have the testimonial gratitude for our performance of World War II. This was given by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to the Keyes family. And we have a picture of Orin Keyes here. And we have another picture of Orin Keyes. This is Orin Keyes in his Army uniform. And this was given to his grandmother. And we have it. And the town of Barnstable now owns it. as you may have heard from past stories or recollections, these are almost too delicate to handle. These are actual letters that Orin Keyes wrote to his mother and grandmother
while he was
in the
in World
service,
War
and
II.
this is dated 1942. And we have some letters here, and more letters, and more letters, and more letters.
And really,
the thing that's
if I may just pause on these letters for a moment before we move, is you really get a story, and as you mentioned, they're very delicate and tied up with string. You know, this is something you would see in a movie. You know, they're the
Exactly.
letters from World War II that a soldier wrote back home.
Exactly.
And it could just be something simple, like "I miss you," and "It's lonely," or "It's tough here." But it does tell the story of Orin Keyes' time in the service during World
We
War
opened
II.
one of these letters and looked at it, and Orin Keyes wrote back. Apparently his grandmother sent him some fudge brownies, and he says, "Thank you for the brownies. This is the best food that I've had in 3 weeks."
And didn't he end up sharing them
and
with
he ended up
his
sharing
fellow
them
soldiers
with fellow
as well?
soldiers.
I'm sure they were very happy
and
to have
and
that taste
the
of home.
conclusion of his letter, he says, "Dear Grandma, send me some more brownies." This is the one that affected me personally the most. This is a Purple Heart. And as I opened this box, you will see this is the Purple Heart that was given to Orin Keyes. And how do I know it was given to Orin Keyes? Because if you turn this Purple Heart over, it says given to Orin F. Keyes, Orin F. Keyes. This is his actual Purple Heart. And the story, as you heard in the videotape, Orin Keyes was a paratrooper during World War II. They landed in Brussels, and they were walking down the street. They were trying to save this one town in Brussels, and apparently he and about a dozen other paratroopers were all killed. And that took place in a little village called Oldenroode in Belgium, and he was shot and killed. And this is the actual Purple Heart given to us by John Marchant, in the town of Barnstable. Will now have control over all of this. Here is his Bible, okay? And you talk about a grandmother saving things.
This is my favorite part of what's in the whole box.
This is work that Orin Keyes did while he was in school.
As a schoolboy.
As a
what,
schoolboy.
Third grade?
And he did a drawing of a bird.
A book report on Treasure Island.
Imagine that.
I love
a book report on
I love
Treasure Island. And something from 1932 while he was in school. From
Brief
1932. Stuff about Barnstable High School and his classmates and things that they did. This is just a wonderful collection. And we have more photographs.
So it's really, you know...
Hey, can I, just before you say that, before we conclude, there are people out there who watch our program who may remember Dr. Carl Fearing Schultz. He was the minister at the Federated Church in Hyannis. And Dr. Schultz, this may not be known by a lot of people, actually put together a newsletter. And he mailed this out to all of the soldiers who were from Barnstable and who served in World War II. And at the end he says, "With friendliest wishes, I am the Colonel, the Deacon, the Deke, Schultze, or what have you." And he signs it, the Deacon, written by Carl Fearing Schultz. And the date, this goes back to the 1940s while these people were in the war.
And it says Dear Kesey.
And it says Dear Kesey on the front
A
of
little
it.
familiar right there.
So what are we going to do with this? Well, at this moment, I did talk to the town manager, Tom Lynch, and Tom suggested to us that the town may be interested in buying a new bookcase. We're not quite sure where we're going to put the bookcase, and all of this is going to be put into the bookcase for viewing by all the people who want to come in and take a look at this.
Absolutely.
In addition to that, we have started to make preparations to take all of the letters and scan them and put them somewhere on a drive, and it's making one of the Town of Barnstable historical
so people can
websites,
read them
so people
and
can
get
read
a look
these,
at what
and then
life
we'll
was
save
like.
them. And the last thing that I think I'd like to share with you is, this goes back to 1937, and this is a medal that Orin Faring Schultz,
Keys.
Orin Keys won. This says junior 3.5-mile run in the South Shore track meet held at Weymouth High School in 1937, and he won some ribbons.
Fantastic. Well, really just amazing pieces of history, and I think that, you know, it's not often that you come across a collection like this that tells the story of somebody's life kind of comprehensively as this
Exactly.
does. So I look
Exactly.
forward to sharing this with the public and anyone who's interested in learning a little bit about the history of our town and of the people in our town.
I want to leave the town for 1 second. A number of years ago, a gentleman died in Wisconsin, and his children went upstairs and found all of his stuff. And they started to look at it and never ever realized that this man, who was a funeral director in a little city in Wisconsin, was one of the men who raised the flag at Iwo Jima.
Really?
And that's from where the book Flag of Our Fathers and the movie Flag of Our Fathers comes from.
Wow.
So we're going to take all this stuff from Orin Keys, and we're going to save it. And I just can't thank you enough to John Marchant, who graciously donated this to all the town of Barnstable. And we're going to find a place to put this and store it so that everybody in the future can see it and wonder and know why Mr. Keys had a beach named after him, and what a wonderful story this is.
Well, thank you, Lenny, and great to hear the story, and we look forward to hearing more. I'm going to wrap up.